Hi, this is Wendy from Knitters Brewing, and I'm going to show you how we're going to pick up stitches around the top of the sock as we start clue 7 for Mystery Sock 9. So this is what it looked like at the end of clue 6. We have a front and a back and one stitch that is on the ankle edge of each sock. This is my right sock. See? R. So if you had it on, you'd be wearing it this way, and there's your loop. Now what we're going to do is pick up stitches all the way around the top, and you are going to pick up 56, 64, or 72 depending on which size you're doing. This is a medium, so I'll be picking up 64, and we want to do that evenly spaced around the sock. So first, let's divide it into quadrants to make that a little easier. And what you need for that is 3 stitch markers that are either the claw type or this safety pin type, or just pieces of waste yarn will work as well. So first, fold the sock in half so that your seam, your side seam, is on one edge, and put your marker through the opposite edge. Now we've divided it in halves. Now refold it so that your marker is lined up with your remaining stitch, and then put a marker on each of these edges. And that will divide it closely enough into quadrants that we can now pick up stitches more easily. Now what you want to do is kind of stretch this out a little bit and take a look at it. And you'll see what you've got is an alternating series of garter stitch bumps and valleys between them. Now this looks much nicer if you pick the stitches up at the top of a valley than if you pick it up at the top of a garter stitch ridge. So what you want to do is count how many valleys you have between each of your 2 markers, or have in each of your quadrants. And it might not be the same because you saw we didn't really scientifically, develop those quadrants. So expect there to be just a little variation. And so first we'll count how many valleys we have. Now this is the first quadrant. So this stitch that we have here, that's going to count as our first stitch. So I really only need to pick up 15 in the first quadrant. All right, for valleys, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So I need to pick up 15 stitches. So I'm going to pick up 1 at each of the top of those 14 valleys, and then 1 on top of one of the garter ridges. That'll make 15. And the garter ridge one, I'll just do that toward the middle somewhere to kind of keep it even. So we just need a needle, and you can go with whatever types of needles you like. Let's get that stitch on there, and we're going to do this going from the right side toward the inside of the sock, and we're going to pick these stitches up as if to knit. So at the top of your ridge you'll see a stitch, or I'm sorry, at the top of the valley area you'll just see a stitch. So just go under that. Oh, let me get it. Wrap it around as if to knit and pull the stitch through. And then we move on to the next valley. Grab that stitch or that loop at the top of the valley and pull it through. And so we want to catch all 14 of those in the first quadrant, plus as I get to the center I'll grab stitch on top of one of these, whoops, drop that one, on top of one of these purl bump ridges. So like here's a purl bump ridge, so it's a little harder to get these. Let's see. It's another good reason to pick them up in the valleys. There we go. Okay. So then I just continue picking them up at the top of the valleys until I get to my marker. And that's it. Alright, so now I have my 16 from my first quadrant on there. So now you're just going to do the same thing. Now we need 16 in the second quadrant, and I'm going to actually count this first valley that the marker's in, because I don't want to skip over it. So in this one I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So I'm going to pick up 15 stitches at the top of each valley, and again 1 in the middle on the top of a purl bump. And so I'm going to keep doing that, and when I get to the end I will have 64 stitches, and I'll come back and show them off. And here we are. I've picked up my 64 stitches around the top of the sock. So on the outside it looks very tidy, and on the inside there's just a little bit of a ridge. And as we continue to work up the cuff here, that ridge will be actually not very noticeable at all on the inside. So now you can just continue and do the cuff rounds, and those are all pretty standard stitches. So I think this is the last video for this knit along, and I just want to thank you for reaching this point, and because I know you're going to finish now, and I hope you enjoy your crazy quilt sock.